So this is Spawn issue number 1. This came out on May 1992. Damn, that was a long ass time ago. So I've recently been reading the Spawn stuff. Um, I'm not that far into it, like at all. I basically the last issue that I read was the first introduction to Anti-Spawn. So I think that's like issue number 14, 15, somewhere around there. But I recently got back into Spawn. Well, I say back into, but I never was super into Spawn. The first time I was introduced to Spawn was actually when the movie came out in 1997. I was, 11 years old when it came out, and my uncle actually took me out to go watch it. And I was just like, what the hell is this? This is so weird, but I enjoyed it. I haven't seen it since. I don't know how it holds up, but like I actually really liked it as a kid. And then there was the HBO series, which I saw clips of. I saw pieces. I never had cable until much later in my life, but a friend had cable, and he would invite me over, and sometimes I would see like parts of Spawn and stuff like that. But it always kind of interested me, the character, and I just kind of forgot about it until I would say maybe when Soul Calibur came out. Well, actually, when the Spawn Dreamcast, no, not Dreamcast, PlayStation 1 game came out. Yeah, there was a Spawn PlayStation 1 game that was pretty terrible. So yeah, there was a Spawn PlayStation 1 game, there was a Spawn Dreamcast game, a Spawn Xbox game, and then Spawn obviously had a cameo in Soul Calibur, and then of course the latest Mortal Kombat game. And it was actually the latest Mortal Kombat game that kind of reintroduced me to how badass Spawn could be, and I decided to start checking him out. So I've been watching videos about Spawn. I did a review for the Spawn manga. I have started reading Spawn from the first issue and just continuing from there. I love like this introduction to Spawn. It feels like something straight out of a Batman the Animated Series. Remember the opening where Batman's standing on the bridge and he had like that lightning flash? This completely reminds me of that, which makes me wonder if that's where they got the idea from, because I believe Spawn came out before the Batman Animated Series, which if anyone hasn't watched Batman Animated Series, please watch it. Like, as someone who never gave a crap about Batman and always just found him kind of just his like melodramatic, broody nature just kind of annoying, that series was amazing, and I freaking loved it as a kid. It was like one of my favorite shows to watch. It was that and the Spider-Man cartoons, as well as the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But I love the, because like you start off introducing the city, and then you got a little bit of the religious, symbolism, which plays a huge part in Spawn. Well, not necessarily. Well, yeah, somewhat religion in general. So just because of the whole like demons in hell versus the angels in heaven kind of thing. But I love like just the whole silhouette kind of. And then I like this was like a really cool way of introducing a little bit of a backstory about Spawn. I blurred out the text just because I'm just to play it safe, even though I know this came out like 30 something years ago. Almost. I just want to be safe with how much I show and stuff like that. So I'm blurring and erasing all the dialogue. But I like how you have like CNN, and then you have like the local news, and then you have like Entertainment Tonight, and how each has their own take on what's going on in the city and Spawn and Al Simmons and stuff like that. This kind of reminds me a lot of The Dark Knight Rises. Yeah, no, not The Dark Knight Rises. The Dark Knight Returns. Why was I confusing the comic with the movie? The Dark Knight Returns with the news segments. And yeah, I thought this was like really cool. Like, I like just the way McFarlane kind of plays with everything. Like, just like the layouts are all like this right here. I thought this was fantastic. Like this, you have the city, you have Spawn, you have Death and Spawn's wife, and like just like the memories are kind of like nothing's making sense here. And then you have a little bit of the Spawn's power meter, where like when it drops to 0, he goes back to hell, and then you have the time, the hourglass breaking to show that he's like his time is, he's on the time clock kind of, and also the sense that like time has kind of screwed with him because it's been 5 years since his death and resurrection, and just like this whole image right here just is awesome, and I don't know, I loved how it's laid out and stuff, and I mean, again, the drawing itself is really cool. I really miss this kind of style of drawing, especially nowadays. Nowadays, comic book stuff. I mean, you got some great stuff. Like Ethan Van Sciver has some good artwork. Clayman has some good artwork. I forgot his name. The dude who did who usually works with Tom King. He did Tom King's oh my god, I can't believe I forgot the Miracle Man. His artwork is pretty cool too. I like from Marvel, it was whoever did Guardians of the Galaxy and the Thanos miniseries, the recent one. I don't know their names. I don't really know names of like the illustrators and even some of the writers, unless they're like infamous for going after fans and stuff like that. Otherwise, I don't really pay attention to that kind of stuff. It's like if a series is good, then it's good. I don't really care who worked on it. You got like these cow art style, and it's just, it doesn't work for these superheroes. And I miss this old school look. Like this right here, like to me, this illustration is timeless. Like it was great back then, and it's still great now, like 30 years later. Like I freaking love this. And of course, we got the big bad intro to Spawn, which was actually a double spread. I freaking love Spawn's design. It's basically like Peter Parker in the Venom suit. So yeah, I wonder how much of an inspiration Spider-Man had, because I did read somewhere that Todd McFarlane actually drew Spawn back when he was in high school, and I believe Todd McFarlane was involved when with Venom's first appearance. Right, he drew that issue. So I wonder if he actually based Venom off of that drawing he did in high school, and then when he went and did his own company, he just took that image that he did in high school and just kind of updated it. So I wonder if Venom is partially based off of prototype high school version of Spawn. That would be really interesting. But I mean, the black and white, especially around the face, it's just reminds me of Venom. But anyways, like this artwork is great. Freaking love it. I don't know. I don't know how much I can gush over this. I guess I can give a little bit of the background on the story. So basically, Spawn was Al Simmons. He was like the badass soldier. He took a bullet for the president, and then he later gets betrayed and killed by a young blood member, if I remember correctly, which I thought was kind of cool. So basically, he had like a crossover between Spawn and Youngbloods in a sense. Like basically, they share the same universe. I believe all of Image shares the same universe, if I'm remembering this right. But then, anyways, he makes a deal with Malboja so that he can, come back to life and see his wife. And Malboja resurrects him 5 years later as a Hell Spawn, aka Spawn. And in the first few issues, well, I mean, I'm like 15 issues in, and it's still ongoing, where Spawn is basically trying to regain his memories as well as learn all about his new powers and learn about his situation in life and how he basically is a recruitment for Malboja, but he's trying to stop Malboja. It's really cool so far. Like, I'm really interested in the story. But yeah, basically we have Spawn going around, and he is basically saving like the homeless people, and just like in this one, he's basically saving a woman from being raped. And yeah, just like this artwork is just so cool. Like the close up of the villain and the grabbing, and then just like his eye in fear, and Spawn's just like looking menacingly, and then just throwing him through the window. This is great stuff. And I love this image right here where Spawn like finally like starts taking off his glove and his mask, and he realizes what a like horrifying deformed freak he's become. And it's like he finally learns he has a wife, but how is he going to approach his wife looking the way he does now? And just this image of him like hysterically crying, but also laughing at his own misery, and just like the silhouette, but all you see is the eyes, the teeth, and then the tears. Like, oh, this is great. And yeah, that's it. That's all I'm going to show. But Man, this is such a good issue, and I'm enjoying the series so far. I will say that I feel like at some points the series goes a bit off track for an issue or two. Like we're following Spawn and Al Simmons, and then all of a sudden it cuts to medieval Spawn for like an issue or two, and then it cuts back to Spawn for an issue, and then it cuts to Spawn going and meeting Cerebus, and then there's like another one where we cut to like an issue where he meets the DC and Marvel superheroes, but of course, because of copyright reasons, like we can't label them as Superman and stuff. But he meets like Superman and Spider Man and Batman and Wonder Woman and all those, and it's just like it feels like the series just kind of it has its story, and then it just branches out for like an issue or two before coming back, and it just to me, I'm just like I kind of wish it would just stick more with Al Simmons and stuff, and just leave that kind of stuff for maybe spin-offs or just like a one shot, yeah, just like a one shot spin-off. Like here's Spawn meeting Cerebus, here's Spawn, here's medieval Spawn, here's Spawn from the Cowboy days, here's like a futuristic Spawn or something. Here's Spawn meeting the DC Marvel characters. Like I don't know. I feel like it's branching out too much at times before coming back to Al Simmons and his plight and stuff like that. But yeah, so far like the latest issue I read was him learning from Houdini to control his powers and stuff, which is kind of cool. Like the stories are just they're kind of weird, but like I really like them. Anyways, yeah, so this is Spawn issue number 1. I know this is basically just me kind of gushing over it, but it's Spawn issue number 1. Like it's one of the most memorable comics ever, and it's freaking great. Like I love the artwork. I can't show you guys. I mean, I probably could, but just to play safe, I didn't show you guys. But like even the dialogue is great. And this not just the way it's written, but how it's written. And by that I mean like for example, I've been reading some old comics from the 90s. I've been reading Witchblade, which hasn't really held up. Then again, I heard Witchblade is pretty bad for like the first 50 or so comics, 50 or so issues. Like I heard it's not until like you start getting into like the issues like is it 70s or 80s or 90s? Oh, basically it's like almost up to issue 100 is when they actually start being a lot better. Like they start laying down the groundwork for the story and things start like actually building like a universe and stuff like that. Whereas the first handful of the first a lot of handfuls of issues is basically just fan service. Like it's cliche writing with sexy fan servicey art, which is fine. But I mean, obviously, I want to read something like I don't mind fan service. Like fan service, great, whatever. Just as long as if it has a great story to go with it. So yeah, if anyone is familiar with Witchblade, if you guys can tell me when I should jump into it, like which issue actually gets to like the good stuff with the writing, that'll be great. But anyways, the reason why I brought Witchblade up is the font. It's terrible to read, especially since like I'm reading some of these like digital versions, as you can see here, digital edition. So it's you have like gray text over black bubbles, but there's like hints of red in. So it's almost, and then you also have like white on red. So it's like I'm like have to zoom in and really squint to kind of read what the hell the dialogue is. Whereas here for Spawn, like maybe it's because it's a digital edition and they cleaned it up, but like I can read everything perfectly. It's like really easy on the eyes, not just the artwork, but the lettering as well. So yeah, this is great stuff. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys enjoyed some of these like retro reviews. I basically, when it comes to comics, I'm pretty much just reading the old stuff now. So I've been reading Spawn. I've been reading Witchblade. I've been reading the Magdalena. Basically, it's like the spin-off from Witchblade. The chick who's like a descendant from Mary Magdalena, something like that. I can't see the name for the life of me, but you guys know who I'm talking about, right? I've been reading some of that. But yeah, if you guys have any recommendations for more retro reviews, like I've done stuff on Jack Kirby, like some of Jack Kirby's greatest works, and I actually had a lot of fun doing that. So I mean, if you guys want to see like more retro stuff, and not just 90s, but like golden age comic reviews, let me know. If you guys want to see more recent stuff, like stuff coming out now, I can try to do that too. It's just because of the whole situation, there's really not that much comics coming out, and the ones that aren't really the greatest. I might do a review for Safe Space though, Safe Space and Snowflake, just because like that looks like it's gonna be a terrible, horrible, hilarious mess, and I want to I want to see how bad that can get. But if you guys have any recommendations for anything, let me know. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys are staying safe, and I hope to see you guys next time. Later.